The Öresund Bridge is a combined railway and motorway bridge across the Öresund Strait between Sweden and Denmark. The bridge runs nearly 8 kilometres from the Swedish coast to the artificial island Peberholm in the middle of the strait. The crossing is completed by the 4 kilometres Drogden Tunnel from Peberholm to the Danish island of Amager.The Øresund Bridge is the longest combined road and rail bridge in Europe and connects two major metropolitan areas, Copenhagen, the Danish capital city, and the Swedish city of Malmö. It connects the road and rail networks of the Scandinavian peninsula with those of Central and Western Europe. A data cable also makes the bridge the backbone of internet data transmission between Central Europe and Sweden, Finland. The international European route E20 crosses via road, the Öresund line via railway. The construction of the Great Belt fixed link, connecting Zealand to Funen and thence to the Jutland Peninsula, and the Öresund Bridge have connected Central and Western Europe to Scandinavia by road and rail. The Öresund Bridge was designed by the Danish engineering firm COWI. The justification for the additional expenditure and complexity related to digging a tunnel for part of the way, rather than raising that section of the bridge, was to avoid interfering with air traffic from the nearby Copenhagen airport, to provide a clear channel for ships in good weather or bad, and to prevent ice flows from blocking the strait. The Öresund Bridge crosses the border between Denmark and Sweden, but in accordance with the Schengen Agreement and the Nordic Passport Union, there are usually no passport inspections. There are random customs checks at the entrance toll booths entering Sweden, but not when entering Denmark. Since January 2016, checks have become significantly more stringent due to the European migrant crisis. The Öresund Bridge received the 2002 IABSE Outstanding Structure Award. History. The concept of a bridge over the Öresund was first formally proposed in 1936 by a consortium of engineering firms who proposed a national motorway network for Denmark. The idea was dropped during World War II, but picked up again thereafter and studied in significant detail in various Danish-Swedish government commissions through the 1950s and 60s. However, disagreement existed regarding the placement and exact form of the link, with some arguing for a link at the narrowest point of the sound at Helsingborg, further north of Copenhagen, and some arguing for a more direct link from Copenhagen to Malmö. Additionally, some regional and local interests argued that other bridge and road projects, notably the still unbuilt Great Belt fixed link, should take priority. The governments of Denmark and Sweden eventually signed an agreement to build a fixed link in 1973. However, the project was cancelled in 1978 due to the economic situation and growing environmental concerns. As the economic situation improved in the 1980s, interest continued and the government signed a new agreement in 1991. An Amager.The report identified the following as primary motivations for construction of the bridge: to improve transport links in northern Europe, from Hamburg to Oslo, regional development around the Öresund as an answer to the intensifying globalization process and Sweden's decision to apply for membership of the European Community, connecting the two largest cities of the region, which were both experiencing economic difficulties, improving communications to Kastrup Airport, the main flight transportation hub in the region. A joint venture of Hochtief, Skanska, Hochgarden Amp, Schultz and Monberg and Amp Thorsen, began construction of the bridge in 1995 and completed it the 14th of August 1999. Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark and Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, met midway across the bridge tunnel on the 14th of August 1999 to celebrate its completion. The official dedication took place on the 1st of July 2000, with Queen Margaret.The and King Carl XVI Gustaf as the host and hostess of the ceremony. Because of the death of 9 people, including 3 Danes and 3 Swedes, at the Roskilde Festival the prior evening, the ceremony opened with a minute of silence. The bridge tunnel opened for public traffic later that day. On the 12th of June 2000, 2 weeks before the dedication, 79,871 runners competed in Bro-Loppet, a half-marathon from Amager, Denmark, to Skane, Sweden. Despite 2 schedule setbacks, the discovery of 16 unexploded World War II bombs on the sea floor and an inadvertently skewed tunnel segment, the bridge tunnel was finished 3 months ahead of schedule. Although traffic between Denmark and Sweden increased by 61% in the first year after the bridge opened, traffic levels were not as high as expected, perhaps due to high tolls. However, since 2005, traffic levels have increased rapidly. This may be due to Danes buying homes in Sweden to take advantage of low housing prices in Malmö and commuting to work in Denmark. In 2012, to cross by car cost 310 Danish kroner, 375 Swedish kroner, 43 euros, with discounts of up to 75% available to regular users. In 2007, almost 25 million people traveled over the Öresund Bridge, 15.2 million by car and bus and 9.6 million by train. By 2009, the figure had risen to 35.6 million by car, coach or train. In January 2016, amidst the European migrant crisis, Sweden was granted a temporary exemption from the Schengen Agreement in order to mandate that all travelers across the bridge had photographic proof of identity. A fine of 50,000 Swedish krona would be the punishment for travel companies serving travelers without such identity documents. The move marked a break with 60 years of passport-free travel between the Nordic countries. Link features. Bridge at 7,845 meters. The bridge covers half the distance between Sweden and the Danish island of Amager, the border between the two countries being 5.3 kilometers from the Swedish end. The structure has a massive 82,000 tons and supports 2 railway tracks beneath 4 road lanes in a horizontal girder extending along the entire length of the bridge. On both approaches to the 3 cable-stayed bridge sections, the girder is supported every 140 meters by concrete piers. The 2 pairs of freestanding cables supporting towers are 204 meters high, allowing shipping 57 meters of headroom under the main span. But most ships' captains prefer to pass through the unobstructed Drogden Strait above the Drogden Tunnel. The cable-stayed main span is 491 meters long. A girder and cable-stayed design was chosen to provide the specific rigidity necessary to carry heavy rail traffic, and also to resist large accumulations of ice. The bridge experiences occasional brief closures during very severe weather, such as the St. Jude storm of October 2013, due to high longitudinal and transverse loads acting over the bridge and to accommodate movements between the superstructure and substructure. It has bearings weighing up to 20 t each, capable of bearing vertical loads up to 96,000 kilonewtons in a longitudinal direction and up to 40 40,000 kilonewtons in transverse direction. The design, manufacturing and installation of the bearings were carried out by the Swiss civil engineering firm Amager.The. Vibration issues, caused by several cables in the bridge moving under certain wind and temperature conditions, were combated with the installation of compression spring dampers installed in pairs at the center of the cables. Two of these dampers were equipped with laser gauges for ongoing monitoring. Testing, development and installation of these spring dampers was carried out by specialists European Springs. Peberholm. The bridge joins Drogden Tunnel on the artificial island of Peberholm. The Danes chose the name to complement the natural island of Southam just to the north. Peberholm is a designated nature reserve built from Swedish rock and the soil dredged up during the bridge and tunnel construction. Approximately 4 kilometers long with an average width of 500 meters. It is 20 meters high. Drogden Tunnel. The connection between Peberholm and the artificial peninsula at Kastrup on Amager Island, the nearest populated part of Denmark, is through the 4,050 meters long Drogden Tunnel. It comprises a 3,510 meters immersed tube plus 270 meters entry tunnels at each end. The tube tunnel is made from 20 prefabricated reinforced concrete segments, the largest in the world at 55,000 tons each, interconnected in a trench dug in the seabed. 2 tubes in the tunnel carry railway tracks, 2 carry roads and a small 5th tube is provided for emergencies. The tubes are arranged side by side. Rail transport. The rail link is operated jointly by the Swedish SJ and Danish railways via DSB, first on a commission by Skånetrafiken and other county traffic companies and the Danish Transport Agency. A series of new dual-voltage trains was developed, linking the Copenhagen area with Malmö and southern Sweden as far as Gothenburg and Kalmar. SJ operates X2000 and intercity trains over the bridge, with connections to Gothenburg and Stockholm. DSB operates trains to Ystad that connect directly to a ferry to Bornholm. Copenhagen Airport at Kastrup has its own railway station close to the western bridgehead. Trains operate every 20 minutes once an hour during the night, in both directions. An additional couple of Öresund trains are operated at rush hour, and 1-2 SJ trains and DSB trains per hour and direction every other hour. Freight trains also use the crossing. A rail section is double-track 1,435 mm standard gauge and capable of speeds of up to 200 km per hour, slower in Denmark, especially in the tunnel section. The word challenges related to the difference in electrification and signaling between the Danish and Swedish railway networks. The solution chosen is to switch the electrical system from Swedish 15 kV (16.7 Hz) to Danish 25 kV (50 Hz) before the eastern bridgehead at Lernacken in Sweden. The line is signaled according to the standard Swedish system across the length of the bridge. On Peberholm, the line switches to Danish signaling, which continues into the tunnel. Swedish trains run on the left, Danish on the right. Initially the switch was made at Malmö Central Station, a terminus at the time. After the 2010 inauguration of the Malmö City Tunnel connection, a flyover was built at Peberholm north of Malmö, where the 2 southbound tracks cross over the northbound pair. The railway in Malmö thus uses the Danish standard. Costs and benefits. The cost for the Öresund connection, including motorway and railway connections on land, was 30.1 billion Danish kroner according to the 2000-year price index, with the cost of the bridge expected in 2003 to be recouped by 2037. In 2006, Sweden began work on the Malmö City Tunnel, a 9.45 billion Swedish krona connection with the bridge that was completed in December 2010. The connection will be entirely user-financed. The owner company is owned half by the Danish state and half by the Swedish state. This owner company has taken loans guaranteed by the governments to finance the connection, and the user fees are its only income. After the increase in traffic, these fees are enough to pay the interest and begin repaying the loans, which is expected to take about 30 years. Taxpayers have not paid for the bridge nor the tunnel, but tax money has been used for the land connections. On the Danish side, the land connection has domestic benefit, mainly connecting the airport to the railway network. The Malmö City Tunnel has the benefit of connecting the southern part of the inner city to the rail network and allowing many more trains to and from Malmö. According to the Öresund Committee, the bridge has made a national economic gain of 57 billion Danish kroner, or SEK 78 billion Swedish kroner on both sides of the strait by increased commuting and lower commuting expense. The gain is estimated to be 6.5 billion Swedish krona per year, but this could be increased to 7.7 billion by removing the three biggest obstacles to integration and mobility, the two largest being that non-EU nationals in Sweden are not allowed to work in Denmark, and that many professional qualifications and merits are not mutually recognized. Environmental effects. The underwater parts of the bridge have become covered in marine organisms and act as an artificial reef.